So this game we're going to be going over, I thought was rather exciting. It's versus two professional 5-dans, two Korean professional 5-dans, who you will be seeing shortly. White you might never have heard of before, because I know I haven't, but Black everyone should have heard of before, because I've gone over his games in the past. He is one of Korea's up-and-coming young professional players. Now, you might be saying, well, how young is young? It's like, when you say young, what do you mean when you say young? Well, those of you who are on my stream or viewing this in the future on my YouTube channel will now be able to see how young young is. This is the guy that we're going over. That is young Shin Jinseo. He looks like a baby. He looks like a baby. But he's a really strong player, and we're going to go over his game right now. So why did I pick this particular game to go over, you may wonder to yourself. It does have a little bit of complication, but I usually have like one thing that's really interesting about his play, about like a game I go over, something that's like, you know what, I want other people to see this and learn from it. So that's pretty much what we're going to do. And in this case, it's fighting breaks out, but he does take profit while he's fighting. He learned to go himself through Taijam only. Yes, I heard about that through Shin Jinseo. Professional 5-dan, or wait, that says 9-dan. Take that off of there. How'd that become 9? They're both 9. What? No, I hit 5. I swear I hit 5. Sorry, they're both professional 5-dans. But yeah, got stronger through Taijam. So, anyone questions like, is playing on Taijam gonna help me? Yeah, it might. It might. Just a little bit. It could. It very well could. So, a bit of an aggressive game opening here as well. We have, believe it or not, 3 4s from everyone, which means we're probably not going to get into an influential game. Despite the fact that I obviously told you one of the reasons why I picked it is because he makes profit while fighting, and that usually term is, you know, going to be resonating in some sort of large area, a little bit of influence, so kind of spoiled that one already. But what's other interesting is this move down here in the lower left-hand corner. This 3/4 stone is facing black stone, which usually means we have something that we really want to do when our opponent approaches us, because when our opponent approaches us, like we see here, one thing that we typically are not going to do, one thing that we're typically not going to do is just randomly pincer and hope for the best, because what you wind up finding from that is the extension from your corner while you're attacking is usually 2 things that are going well for black, and white can't really say the same thing right now. I usually use this variation to demonstrate it, where we simply approach high, and we see the problem there. Whoops, not that tool. It's a bit easier to envision it on this side because now you've got like a little bit of a Kobayashi kind of situation on the bottom of the board. Very easy to get an enclosure and an extension from this position. You can jump out, but the problem there is now you've got 2 moves that you want to play. You want to play at 1 and you want to play at 2, and you also want to deny black getting at A. So it's hard to use. It's hard to use. So whenever you usually have this 3/4 stone facing your opponent, you have to have something that you want to do with it. And he said, I want to make the game complicated. When you approach me, I'm going to approach you, and the game is going to be fighting. Fighting game. That's why you played it. Okay. Alright, so the Racane, thank you for following the channel. Hope you enjoy. So yeah, here we have another approach. If white approaches the lower right hand corner, then we have the most complicated game in the history of ever. Thankfully, it does not happen. White chooses to respond. This might mean that he's going to get Sente to be able to respond to, let's say, P17, or go back and maybe get Sente and respond to the lower left, depending on what Black wants to do. But Black shouldn't be just taking a Joseki for himself. That would be like a bit of an amateur thing to do. If you just, for example, played locally and not really caring about anything, and let's say we just played here, this would be an amateur way of approaching, because then everything kind of gets settled slowly. I mean, White will probably take here. Now E3 needs to take some kind of settling position as well. White can go back and answer P17 or continue to be aggressive. But nothing's really coming together for any kind of scary positions. Instead, Shin Jinseo tries to use his E4 and his upper left-hand stones together. He says, I'm going to create a larger than normal extension, and you have to respond to me, because if I get a move at A, you're just going to probably wind up resigning the game. I mean, the wall literally spans almost the entire board at that point. And that's just too much to give to your opponent, so you're not really going to allow that to actually occur, right? So we need to respond in such a way that our opponent is not going to get A. Now, if you have not studied a lot of, should it be approached directly before D14? That is extremely arguable. But the idea here is, if White says, you know what, you're not going to do that, I'm going to pincer you right now at B. A is just too large. You don't mind like your opponent saying to try to split you here, because A is just so friggin' big. It's going to be an enormous amount of strength, nice and close corner. All B is going to do is jump out at that point, and then the 3 stones are going to be okay. I'll show that in a minute. Back to what I was originally going to say, though, is if you're not really inclined to study Logitech, you don't really know a lot of positions here, you could just go with the proverb of your opponent's largest move is probably also something that you want to be looking at, probably something large for you. So if you recognize that A is big, A is not a bad option here to choose from. However, you would do E5. E5 would not be a really good move here. A is a bit severe in that you have a strong corner that's threatening to lean on the stone nice and severely. A move like E5 would be a little bit too weak. In the actual game we play here, this only problem with A is that we are still not really sure what we're getting here just yet. We're kind of getting the hope of an attack on the left-hand side. This is saying you can defend, or, you know, I can still kick you, I can get territory, I can invade you, you know, I'm pretty flexible. This, on the other hand, I don't know what this is saying. I think this is saying go ahead and respond locally, because what am I going to do? I mean, this seems difficult to handle, especially given the fact that this is also still a valid move for Black at that point. That leaves a lot of Aji behind. So this I like. This I like. It's putting pressure, saying you better respond, better defend. But Black's defense is to be really aggressive. Like, I'm going to try to enclose all of your things, because that was a pretty good idea a minute ago, and I still like that idea. I'm still going to go with it. Enclosing all of the things seems to be a pretty solid decision. White says, I am not going to let you enclose all of the things. I'm so happy that he decided to fight here, because this gives us a lot to kind of learn from in this little exchange. First thing what Black responds with isn't to just play here and leave a bunch of weaknesses, or maybe hurt E3. Black first says, can I settle in your corner? That'd be great. White says, no. Black says, pretty please. He's getting himself some shape here. White defends his shape nicely. And then Black goes back. Now it's a bit harder to use this, because at the very least, I mean, there's a potential ko here. There's potential ko here. There's potential shape this way. So that little lower left-hand group is a bit more resilient than it was a second ago from this exchange. So let's see how White wants to attack. White says, I'm going to hurt your group. Black says, go ahead, try it. I'm resilient now. So okay, we're going to try and take advantage. And now that's something that I would have probably responded to immediately. Just without even thinking about it. I would have been like, okay, I'm going to play D8 now. But I thought it was interesting that Black doesn't do that. He pushes up first. He's getting rid of this lovely little eye, which kind of puts a lot of pressure on the opponent again. Now we're looking at a potential ko maybe for the entire lower left-hand corner? Because B2 would be huge if he encloses after something like this. So alright, we poke. We're threatening to enclose everything while not leaving the cutting points behind, because we don't want to be too crazy. We could play here, for example, but now all of this has to be red. And it looks like we're not going to really have opportunity that we want to do a whole bunch, regrettably. So we play here. White tries to fight back. And now the question for Black is going to be, you've got weaknesses. How is this wall going to be worth anything? Because we want to profit with this wall. We've played some really bizarre moves on the lower left-hand corner. So how can we do this? By the way, that's not the right move. Yes, it is. Sorry, I got confused. So White plays the Hane, because if Black plays the Atari, like a little noob, he's going to be in trouble. Because White gets to extend at that point. The cuts are really huge. Hello, Zwim. So alright. So far Black responds. White says, hey, look at all those cut points. There's no way you can defend all of the cut points and the bottom group at the same time. Black says, watch me try. Which is really, really odd. It seems like an overplay. Isn't the corner small? I don't know. That's a fourth line kill. If you actually take that out, that's pretty big. Unless maybe you get a complete closure of the corner, maybe? I see a problem in the corner. You are, of course, looking at C5, right? Yep, okay. I think we see it in a minute, so I'm not going to go over it yet. So we extend, try to attack. White really, really, really wants that free F10 move. That would be so great. Have to play it. No longer any choice. Black says, what about the capture? Yeah, there's the C5 move that you were referring to. But he plays here instead because the cut is threatening to kill off C8 at that point. There's a lot on the outside and you're not dead on the inside. Plus it looks like maybe a Ko in the corner-ish. So alright, we're trying to do all the things. No choice but to take. This looks rather doesn't it? So the question becomes, throughout all this complication, like, how are you going to profit from all of this complicated crap? Because Shin Jinseo is a bit of a fighting player. That is true. But we have to play here in order to not be completely killed. Which means we protect this way and not this way, because I think you guys can all read this out, right? That would be the end of your career if you couldn't read that out in a professional game. So we can't connect that. So we have to connect here instead. But now that that's an Atari, we can go back and defend here, which puts the corner in trouble again. So before, we couldn't really do that, right? Like, before all this, we can't really go back and try and do anything because the cut points are definitely in existence. I mean, you've got, at the very least, F7. So you could take right now, right? But then you also know something just died. Because in an emergency, you have this at the very least. You also have the connection first, because we don't have to cut through because we can threaten to kill the left-hand side. So that's why we're not taking B4 just yet. We didn't take B4. Black didn't have an opportunity to take B4 because there's too much going on the board right now. The left-hand stones are about to croak. The middle is on life support. And it's just not worth it for that center. So we played here. We did not play there. And we get to connect. Now, in this instance, a lot of people would be tempted to try to go back and live. But Black is going to try to sacrifice it instead. It's like, okay, you want me? Come kill me. I mean, you could, but it's going to cost you. So White says, okay, you're going to die. So Black looks for profit in the middle in exchange for that corner. And we see him go after middle. We see him give up a couple more stones to go after that strong center. Black plays here to ensure, or White plays here to ensure that there's no weird Ko shenanigans going on with the bottom left hand. This is actually just going to be a dead corner. Poke. Get to threaten to surround, right? Black tries shenanigan, or White tries shenanigans rather. Is getting completely enclosed. So this looks like a pretty good result in exchange for that corner. I wasn't really sure what he was doing with the complication, but we did see a couple of interesting things. Back here we saw a very obvious attempt to gain the middle. I mean, that's what he wanted to do with this. He wanted to try to get, like, build up some influence, maybe get something in the center, at the bottom, whatever. White tried to fight it, but ultimately he kind of didn't give up that option of just trying to develop that center. And he was even willing to give rid of a couple of stones if necessary in order to build up the wall he had his heart so set upon. In fact, he even gave up an entire group in the lower left-hand corner, as we see here, in order to get that wall. Now, NJS asks, what is the purpose of H3? You might not have to actually capture, and it creates cut points. You think corner sacrifice was planned? Yeah. The minute you played here, the minute you made this exchange, you knew that was in your future. The question is, what is he going to have to give up in order to kill your stones that you don't really want anymore? So you said, okay, you're going to die. Like, are you sure about that? Yes. Are you sure about that? Yes. Okay, great. We have a potential Ko now. I mean, maybe he could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, maybe you could have just dropped down, but I think at that point you're going to put the squeeze on the white stones, and you're going to have to force a capture, which is you're going to get a really solid wall here for black. Like, all of this stuff would probably be nice solid black stones while he's killing your corner. So this is, am I going to be able to do that? Am I going to get the Ko? He said potential Ko. Great. That means I get a free move. Bam, we got the free move. Continue to get to develop some more. Yeah, so yeah, I think he absolutely planned it there in Sente. Not accidental. He absolutely intended to sacrifice that group. So double Atari, trying to break out, but that means that this is a thing. Alright, looks like we're still dead there. And time to go back into trying to get the middle. This capture, though, is so huge. He had to capture. He couldn't let this be a solid wall. Now we get surrounded, but we can hide ahead of all the stones, so this is pretty good for us. This, however, is even better for us. Does anyone see why? Does anyone see what the purpose of this move is? How does it go after the center? How does it go after Z center? Drive. Yes, Dasan. Drive. Shortage of liberties. Absolutely. Absolutely. It looks a little bit sketchy, but let's say that white doesn't play here. White plays here. This is a forcing move, right? So we don't have any kind of weird liberty shortages on our group right here. So this goes, and that has to get taken. We can Hane now. And where are you going to go? You're going to go nowhere. There's nothing weird you can aim for with like this cut being a thing. It's just nothing. So white realizes we aren't getting out that way. So he plays the Hane instead. And black said, I don't care. This is half the board right now. This sounds okay to me. White says co-threat. Black says no. Connects. Takes. Because you can't cut through that, right? You can't play D13. So we have to play here now. Now we can play D13. But how do we defend against D13? Anyone know? I'll give you a hint. Don't die. We need to defend against D13 and not die. Yes, B12. Might not want to do 13. 12 I think is actually correct. Because if you do 12 and white drops down, you can drop down at 14. But if you do this one and we're still trying to protect, you can't really drop down here because of the take, right? So the way you remove that liberty is really important. So yeah, have to go on the 12 side, not the 13. Do the 13 and you might wind up dead. But here, yeah, we're good. So we double Atari because we're looking to not be dead here as well. Got to take a stone, yippee skippy. That's now only a 13 stone wall. Ouch. And a group on the left-hand side that's not dead yet. More ouch. So I think at this point the game is probably over. However, this is also a point where you don't want to be greedy. NJS, I like the suggestion of R5. Yeah, you could be like, okay, I'm so far ahead, time to attack again. No. No, 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 no. Instead, Black says, I'm going to take the largest enclosure I possibly can. It's open to invasion. Go ahead, do so. So we drop down anyway, but it doesn't really go anywhere. It doesn't stop us from having to play it. It's like, do you know the right sequence here? Take. Yep, I know the right sequence here. It's like, alright, that seems like it's pretty straightforward. Is there something over here? This is actually also kind of cute. This is like, maybe I can kill you right now. Like, if we connect, we're kind of in trouble because we are capturing a dead shape. That shape of this one once, you know, this has been played, right? This thing here is not a living shape. So Black says, okay, you can tar me there. I'm going to play here. Now we have the Hane. Okay, now we have a take. You would have fallen for that? Ooh, ouch. Yeah, that's rough. Because we can do... I mean, even here, right? And then suddenly, I mean, do we do this? That's not pretty. So okay, we do here. I think we connect that, right? Yes, we do. And now there's a little bit of a co option, but not really because it's double co, unless he connects it right now. And then even then, it's still not a great co because, I mean, A14 has to be responded to, and then it's a what step? 1, 2, 3 step co? White says, that's my threat right now. Black says, okay, that's my territory right now. And this, admittedly, would infuriate me if I was playing a game right now. Well, maybe not. The right-hand side's still so open, I might not be totally pissed off. But, like, oh, you're trying to live in this area. Like, growl. But let's see what Black can do against this. Black, luckily, doesn't care. He just tries to steal the right-hand side. He's not going, I need to start poking at your shape and making new stones that you can use Aji against. It's like, nope. This line territory sounds pretty good to me. Drops down, huge corner. Will White get to live here? Maybe. Doesn't White know that this board naturally belongs to Blee? How dare he invade? Exactly. That's what I'd be thinking. So alright, we got here. We have all the forcing moves we could ever ask for, but seriously. We're not quite at the 13th line again, but we're getting kind of close. And this is the problem with influence. Like, really hard. It's kind of like a game of whack-a-mole. If you give your opponent influence late game, that can be okay, because the board kind of fills up as hard to use it. If you give your opponent a lot of influence in the beginning of the game, then you are no longer playing Go. You're playing whack-a-mole. Sure, you'll reduce the side, and it's going to magically teleport somewhere else. And you're going to try to whack that too, and then you realize, you know what, you can't keep getting all of them. Kind of sucks. I think the game's rigged. So alright, we're just going to surround. And poke. But yeah, we're surrounding. Threatening to kill. Okay, gotta protect. Getting some shapes for ourselves. Poke. Getting some eyes for ourselves. But even now, even fully surrounded, look how hard it is for him to live. I mean, he has to be a kung fu master in order to make sure that he can get his eyes where he needs them to be. But we don't try to kill. Some people would. Some people would be like, but if I play I don't know, like here maybe, and then clamp, I might still be able to poke this eye out, despite the fact that well, problems. One problem is, like, there's a lot here, right? It's like, oh, I actually can't do that without dropping dead. This way doesn't work, mind you, but I can make it work in a second if you want me to. We can go back into here. We can go back into here. We can go back into here. And suddenly it works again, doesn't it? What? J5K something or other? Yeah, you could, but I like this one better because it just involves killing. Never mind. I don't like this variation anymore. Yeah, NJS, I like your variation better. Mine seems to have sucked. No, wait, mine's good. No, it's double Atari. Nope, my variation sucked. Yours is superior. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can just live that way. Fine, you win. I'm sorry. Did I ruin the tree? No, connection. Cool. So yeah, it doesn't do any of that crap. Just connects. We're all nice and happy. Now, those of you with small children might want to shield your eyes. This game is now rated R. That is so vulgar. Oh my god. It's like, I have to think that that might have been... That had to have been maybe a time Suji. So, connects. Obviously has to. Obviously has to. Then he decides, you know what? I need to live. So vulgar. So vulgar. But that means we get to make a big area for ourselves that no one can possibly invade. Not anymore. Connects, goes for the kill, goes for a reduction. Now how would you... Oh, really? P15 kill him? You're close. He does try to kill him, but he doesn't want to leave a lot of Aji behind, right? So what he tries to do is play Q15 instead. Because the P15 is troublesome because, you know, you've got this as a potential forcing move. Now you've got that as a potential forcing move. Which means, you know, you got this. And it's like, kind of ugly. So he plays here. White gets to descend. I like that move. Nice and strong, not going like, okay, Hani at the head of my stones. Sure, I don't care. Or here and allowing him to turn and then suddenly having like forcing moves this way. It's just like, no, I'm going to back away from your stone right now because I'm really strong and you're not. So there's a lot of things that I liked about this game. This move I liked because he's in a situation where his opponent seems like he's trying to overplay as many times as he possibly can. Or maybe not an overplay, maybe this is valid. That's probably a little bit harsh to say. He is shoulder hitting a low stone, that's valid, right? Okay, cool. But how to respond to it when you have so much strength in the area, there's easy ways to make mistakes. Like, I'm gonna Hane. No, that wasn't a shoulder hit, actually. Over here, yeah. Like, I'm going to extend and let you do something bad to me. Or, come on, over here. There we go. I'm going to extend and let you Hane my 2 stones. Or drop down, let you go over top my position. Or Hane and give you an I shape. And he just, like, avoided all of those by going backwards one time. So that's cool. White says, time to leave. Black's like, well, I tried to make the bottom large and you invaded it, and then I tried to make the right large and then you invaded it, so I guess I'm going to try to make the top large? So, alright. Time to fight everything. This is for all the points. Black says, okay. Take the top, leave my area alone. White says, but I kill you! So Black lives, and threatens to kill stones. Trying to live. Stones are almost completely dead now. Alright. That's dead, so the corner's now gonna live. And it was all for that. It's like, this is the Ko that I've been waiting for forever. I've created as many Ko threats as I possibly can. So it's time to go back and see if this is going to die. If it does, I'm a genius. White says, I'm going to live now. Black turns. White says, I'm really gonna live. So Black extends. Because remember, this is a bit of a hard Ko, right? 1, 2, 3 steps at least. So we can get away with doing things like this. Like, okay, go for it. Ko. Tries to kill. Hey, Frozen Soul, we're going over one of Jinseo's games. Most recent one, I think. So, alright, that's a no-no. So we go back to Ko. I love the threats, I really do. It's like, alright, we're still in a Ko, I might as well threaten to kill everything you have. So White says no. White threatens to get a large area for himself. So Black says no. Once again, Black threatens a very large area. But now we have a lot of Ko threats. Once again, just extend to maximize, to minimize Aji rather. Doesn't look like it's going anywhere. That Ko is ridiculous. A little bit, Stalker-san, a little bit. Going for the Almost captured. We're almost killed. We almost got him killed. Just 2 more steps, right? 2 more steps. So I'll go ahead and do this. Plays here, can cut through, it's pretty big. So we connect, and we're going back to Co. Good local threat. One second. Dude, yeah, and then dude. Got it. So he threatens to come out. And black says no. Once again, threat. Once again, no. Threatens to connect now. So black takes. The question is, what can white do now? What is white's awesome threat? What do you think? What do you think white would possibly play here? Lean on the center, then capture. No, you really need to capture right now. There's no leaning to be had. Regrettably, there's nothing you can actually play here to kill off those stones. It's a bit regretful, but if we play here, I mean, don't we just, So we can't do that, and yet if we play here, it's kind of just as bad, right? So this isn't really a strong threat, which is why white resigns right now, after the take. Because K16 just wasn't good enough. It doesn't actually kill. Can't kill. And even trying to live is still very, very difficult. So white resigned. This was an interesting game on how... well, for one, it's interesting that Shin Jinseo wanted influence in the beginning of the game. White's biggest mistake not being 9p. Well, Shin Jinseo is technically only a 5-dan, right? 5-dan professional? Technically speaking. He's not 9p yet either. He will be, but he isn't yet. But yeah, in the beginning of the game, he wanted, Black wanted influence. We saw that here, and he never lost sight of that. He's just like, I want me walls. I want all me walls. And he was willing to give up the corner in order for all of his walls, which we saw here. But he didn't just say, like, alright, I'm gonna play here like a lot of players might, and by a lot I mean amateurs, and thus have a solid wall with no real Aju to speak of. You know, something like this, no Aju to work against ever, nice solid wall, nothing we can really do against it. He's like, you know what, if you want to kill me, how about be willing to co for it? And because he was willing to co for it, that gave him extra moves later on to continue building up said wall, which was amazing. The surround here, the importance here, I can't stress enough of how important it is which direction that you Hane here compared to B13, and I'm glad someone asked that in the chat. That was really good. The importance of realizing that this is trying to force you to kill a dead shape and not getting suckered into it. Also super important. A lot of really important life and death things in this game, despite the fact that it's like so influential and just so large. And then reverting back to the very basics of what Go is, and that is the surrounding game, as also pointed out in the chat, and how valuable that is. So yeah, I really like this game. It really stood out on a lot of fundamental principles, I thought. So that's why I wanted to bring this particular game to your attention this week. So I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Okay, we're not getting political frozen. We are not going there. I do not want... I don't want to lose all my subscribers, thank you, so I'm not going to start a political fight on my channel. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this game. I know I did. And I will, of course, be back next... no, actually I won't. Well, yeah, I will be, but when am I gonna... What else am I going to be back? I think I'm going to do a night stream at some point. I don't know what day. I don't know. I'm going to be streaming at night sometime within the next week. And if not, I'll be back Wednesday, obviously, as per usual, and probably Monday as well. So until then, I will see you guys. Hope you guys have a great week, and I will talk to you guys later.